There is an innate desire to create something out of nothing, to use our gifts and talents for good. When we aren't creating, we can literally feel it in our bodies. You might think it's just stress, anxiety, and worry, and all of the things of this world, which, yes, that does have an impact, but the biggest culprit of all is not being the person we were designed to be. And that's someone who builds worlds, changes things for the better, all with the mind that God has given us. I've noticed while reading Genesis that God spoke everything into existence. What are you speaking into existence? What are you speaking into existence the moment you wake up? Our words have power, and God shows us that. But we take that so lightly when we speak negatively over our lives and over others. If your vocabulary is filled with I can't, then I hate to break it to you, you're right, you can't. And you won't take the action that you need to take to move forward when that is your core belief. But I get it. We have believed so many lies about ourselves that have compounded over the years. So it makes sense that you feel stuck, unqualified, overlooked, unworthy, not enough, and lacking confidence. Seeds of doubt, hopelessness, fear, and anxiety have been planted. Although that may be true, that you have those anxieties and fears and doubts, you also are responsible for watering those seeds by believing whatever has been planted in your mind. I promise you, if you feel less than, it's not from God. If you feel fear, it's not from God. If you feel anxious or worried, it's not from God. Shifting your thoughts may seem easier said than done, but it's not impossible. That's where faith comes in. And that's the start of where all the good seeds begin to grow. Your mind is so powerful, and so are your words. When God spoke, He created, and so can you. That was the entry that I wrote today, this morning, after I've been reading the book of Genesis. God has just been really speaking to me about how He spoke this entire world into existence, the heavens, the earth, the skies, the animals, you and I. So often we can be afraid of just speaking the things that God is telling us and to share out loud. And oftentimes the enemy is going to be speaking more loudly, and he can be speaking doubt and insecurities and all these different things. I know for me, I have heard so many lies just through other people, whether it's in passing or working in different corporate jobs or whatever it may be, where it's like, I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, or it's for somebody else and it's not for me. And I just know that those are not things that are coming from God. And God is going to encourage us, and He's going to speak life into us. And also the biggest thing, like right away in Genesis, when you're reading it, it says that God created and we were made in His image, right? So that means that we are designed to create. We are supposed to put things out into this world, especially this world that is ruled by the devil and the enemy, who is just prowling around trying to get us off of our track and out of course with what God has called us to do. And so knowing that our words are so powerful. So what are we speaking over our lives? Are we saying that I can't do this? Or are we saying that I'm not good enough? Or are we saying that, that's for somebody else and not for me? All those things that we are speaking out loud, you have to remember that God literally spoke. There's a reason that Genesis starts off, or the Bible starts off with telling us how God spoke things into existence. He literally said, let there be light, and there was light, right? Let there be water, and then there was water in the oceans. And so if we're made in His image, we have to be cognizant and aware of the things that we are saying to ourselves and things that we are believing about ourselves, right? Because a lot of times these beliefs have been planted into our minds by other people, by circumstances, by things we've experienced, and then over time we just start to water those seeds, watering them by believing them. And so I want to encourage you to stop believing the lies that you have been watering. And one practical thing that you can do is you can get yourself a journal. I'm a huge journaler. I love to write. I've been writing since I was like 12 years old. And I'm 35 now, so I've kept a lot of those journals too. But I think there's so much power in when we can write things down. And when we write things down, we're actually able to hear what God is saying to us and the things that we're believing. So what I would encourage you to do today is when you have some time, just pull out a journal and just maybe write down something that you believe God is telling you to do. So maybe it's, hey, God is telling me to start a business, right? Or something like that. Write down, start a business, and then write down all the thoughts that you have around the thing that God is calling you to do. That is where you're going to be able to identify, okay, what are some of the underlying beliefs and thoughts that I'm actually thinking in the background that's actually there, in turn creating the reality in which you're living in. It's creating the world that you are creating based upon what you are saying, whether you're saying it out loud or just in your thoughts, whether you're saying, I can't do this, or I'm not good enough, or I don't know enough, I'm not smart enough. All those different things, we need to take those and hold those thoughts captive, bring them to God, and actually speak life into us, speak the truth about them. Because yeah, you might feel like you're not smart, quote unquote, but smart to who? In comparison to what? Like, what are you comparing that against? So those are the things when you actually slow your mind down a little bit, you can actually see, okay, what am I believing in? What are the lies that are not true for me? And something that, the Holy Spirit was talking to me about this morning is that, yeah, we have those stresses. Yeah, we have the anxiety and worry, and we're worried about all the things of this world. But the biggest culprit is not being the person who God designed us to be. So the more we are doing that, and the more that we are not living in the purpose that God has called for us, that is actually where we feel the anxiety. That is actually what's like building that pot of just that, like, ooh, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. And I don't want to say supposed to be, but it's like God put you here for a reason. And when you're doing the complete opposite of what He has called you here to do, you're going to feel out of alignment. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel depleted. You're going to feel exhausted. You're going to feel just not like you are walking out what God has called you to do. And that in turn is what causes that depression, that anxiety, and all those different things. Like, yes, circumstances and the things you've gone through, the trauma, absolutely can play to that. But I do believe that a big part of it is just not trusting and following what God has called you to do. And that in turn is what is making you feel like out of whack. And so I hope that that helps. I encourage you to grab a notebook, journal the thing that God has been telling you to do, and then write out all the limiting beliefs that you have around it, and then start to look at them for what they are and speak truth and life into yourself, and ask God, okay, what do you actually say about me? Is this true? Because as we know, right away in Genesis, the devil, the enemy, he will come in and he will start speaking lies to you and things that are not true. So I just want to encourage you today to conquer the things that have been overcoming you, overcoming your mind, because that is what controls your actions and the things that you do and how you continue to pursue the calling that God has put on your life. So I hope that this video helped you. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you in the next video. Bye.